Hey everybody, it's Mike, and I'm back to do another show for exposing these Hare Krishnas. Okay, I'm going to expose some of their internet preaching. These YouTube preachers. I know I've been doing the child molestation and the perverts and the whole sex thing, sex abuse, child sex abuse for the last couple days, but. Knowing all of that about the perversion, the sex abuse, the trauma that these kids went through, and all of and continuing, and all of that stuff, and the lawsuits and all that stuff, to know that these people are still out there preaching every day, preaching on the internet, preaching this Krishna crap from the same books, the same stories, the same books, the same fairy tales, all of the same crap on the internet every day. Hundreds of them, flooding the zone, as they say, flooding the zone with their bullshit, with their pedophilia, with their Ramananda Roy, touching little girls' privates, and women like to be raped, and women are less intelligent, and all of this stuff, right? With their books and them preaching that stuff, and all of that crazy stuff is going on. It's going on right now as I'm sitting here. I mean, their YouTube videos are all over the place promoting this stuff that I'm talking about. They continue on with their preaching. And if you watch their preaching, it's fucking insane. It's insane. So we're going to get right to it. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do it right now, right after this opening. Here we go.
Hello.
Okay, so as you can see, I have my devotional, my devotional kurta on, because we're going to be watching some of these wackos preaching, and they're going to be all fully cosplaying. They're going to be dressed up like they're 16th century Bengalis, transgendered Bengalis and gopis and whatnot. I have no idea, but that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be totally cosplaying. They're going to be using they're going to be preaching from Prabhupada's books, trying to explain what Prabhupada says, and trying to make sense of it all, and try to preach people and try to get people in. And I have to say, some people they get PTSD from watching this stuff, and I do too. I can only take so much of it, and then and while I'm watching it, it brings back a lot of trauma and whatever. It's just I can only take it in small doses. Not so much I do feel it's like some weird feelings when I hear too much of their crap. But more than that, I just don't like hearing that shit. It's such bullshit. And the fact that I believed it, or I believed some of it, or even a fraction of it, or however much, half of it, whatever it is, I just can't believe I actually, the stories and all the crap and the purports and the verses and the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya, all of that. So I do get I also do get a little angsty when I hear too much of their crap. I think everybody that's been through it has been traumatized. If you're a Hare Krishna out there and you're watching this and you haven't been traumatized yet, you're going to be in for a shock when you realize that your guru is not pure devotee. Prabhupada's not a pure devotee. These books are full of shit. They're not the law books for the next 10,000 years. The end of the world's not coming, and there's not going to be, Hare Krishnas are going to save the world with their farms and their Varna ashram. I know it's hard for you to grasp what I'm saying now if you're in it, and you're fully in it now. But one day, you're not only going to be traumatized, but you're going to be like going, how the fuck did I believe that there was a demon head eating the moon? Or that there was a guy playing a flute and the sound goes into the head of the ears of a four-headed guy that's growing on the flower that grows out of the navel of a four-armed guy that's sleeping on a snake that's really his brother, and it has 9 heads. I mean, come on. Wake up. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you wake up, okay? It's not easy. You get fucked up in this cult, just like any other cult. You start believing this shit, and for whatever reasons, a multitude of reasons why you just become convinced that this shit is real. This shit is real. So, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off with. Okay, so you know how I've said, I've explained for those of you that are not Hare Krishna. I've explained that they don't believe in the moon landing, and they don't believe. They believe in this demon head eats the moon during an eclipse, and they believe that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon, and there's a mountain of gold or whatever, and all kinds of these weird things that are mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, whatever, and they believe it. They believe it literally, word for word, as if it's factual, because Prabhupada says it in his books, because Prabhupada says it. They somehow believe that all of this nonsense that's in Prabhupada's books is somehow factual because Prabhupada says it. And that's, again, that's based on the idea that Prabhupada is this pure devotee who comes down in this line of imaginary people. Well, they don't think they're imaginary. They think they're real people. That Prabhupada's part of this line, this lineage of people coming all the way down from the four-headed guy with the laying on the snake or whatever. Okay, so once you realize that there was none of that, then everything, it's a house of cards. It all falls apart. Because it's all predicated on the fact that this Prabhupada guy was this and that, and it's bullshit. And so those of you out there that haven't reached that point yet, it's going to be a crash. It's going to be a crash. Calabuza milk thief. Oh, man. I don't even know where to get in with it. Like we could start with, stealing butter and feeding it to the monkeys and getting tied to the mortar and the rope being too. I mean, it's just so much stuff. This is so much. But anyway, I'm going to start with this moon. The sun is closer to the earth as moon, and the eclipse with the Rahu or whatever. This type of stuff. So they want to explain that, right? Because obviously, people have a hang up with that. They're like, well, how can I believe this religion if you believe all this wacky stuff? So then they feel like they have to explain it, where Prabhupada didn't explain it. Prabhupada didn't explain it. He said either you believe it, you accept it, or there's the door. You can go. He explained a little bit of it. But there's this famous quote where they asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita that the moonlight, the sunlight makes the vegetables grow, but the moonlight is what gives them their flavor and their taste, the moonlight. So a devotee says, Prabhupada, how does the moonlight give the vegetables and everything flavor? And Prabhupada, his legendary answer was, you have to ask the moon god. So Prabhupada's, even from that early point, he's like, I'm not explaining this stuff to you because this is scripture. Our religion and our everything is based on you accept what the spiritual master says. You don't question him. If he says the sun is closer to the earth than the moon, then it is. If he says that Bali Maharaj had 4 billion servants, then Bali Maharaj did. You don't ask him how, where did they sleep, where did they take a shit. You don't ask him that thing. Prabhupada said, I'm not explaining that to you. Bali Maharaj had 4 billion servants, and that's it. And if you can't accept it, then move on. And they said, well, how can we preach? Because these people, they ask us these questions. And Prabhupada said, well, why are you preaching that? If you can't answer them, then why are you preaching that part? Preach about something else that they can understand, and then it won't lead you to this area where you can't explain it. And they said, well, but we want to know, because it'll help us with our preaching. And he said, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You accept what I say, and you preach based on what I say. And if you can't do that, then you can't preach. Then you're not a, that's it. Rocket to the sun. That's funny. So in this way, Prabhupada often made it clear that in spiritual life, you don't look for these, these are not the questions that you're asking. Well, how does the demon head eat the moon and all these things? Well, if you can't explain it, and you just want me to, if it's just a trust me bro type thing, then yeah, I'm gonna hit the door. Like why should I, if I'm a Christian or whatever religion I am, why would I become a Hare Krishna? If you can't answer my questions, I got to do all this stuff, follow 4 regular principles, chant Hare Krishna, I got to go to the temple, I got to get up at 4:30, I shave my head, I got to do all this stuff. Why? I can be a Christian, follow Jesus, I can have a bologna sandwich if I want. Why would I join your cult? You can't answer my questions? We have questions. We have questions. Right?
Now! Right now! I want to ask my questions now, and I want to have my answers now. You hear?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what we... Okay, so let's take a look at one of these preachers, and I'm going to start with the sun and the moon and all of that stuff, because I like the 2 devotees back in the early days. They want to explain this. They want to explain it and say, well, Prabhupada says this, and what he's, and that's not Prabhupada's idea. Prabhupada said the sun's closer to the moon, sun's closer to the earth than the moon, and that's it. Because Sunday comes before Monday. He didn't give all these any kind of like trigonometry, geometry, cosmological explanations. He says, because Sunday comes before Monday. That's why. He didn't give try to give some planetary scientific answer, because he knows it's bullshit. He knows that there is no scientific answer. But yet they want to give you, I'm going to give you the scientific answer. Okay? I'm going to try to explain it to you scientifically. So listen to these wackos trying to explain how the sun is closer to the earth than the moon.
Then there is another controversial statement which sometimes Prabhupada says, which simply agitates people. Right? Prabhupada seems to say that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. Now, people who know some amount of cosmology say that if it were like that, we would not be able to live. Now, Mercury is the closest planet. Neither Mercury nor Venus are actually suitable for human habitation because they're just too hot. So, what is Prabhupada saying actually when he says sun is closer to the earth? So, this is the question. So the moon is not that far away. That's what modern cosmology tells us. So how do we understand it? So the Bhagavatam's vision itself is different. When it talks about distances, it's talking about distances from different perspective. It's a vision based on the evolution of consciousness of the residents. And within the Bhagavatam's universal description, there is a vertical dimension. Vertical is not just physically up, it is in terms of karma. Like I mentioned, heaven is up. So there is a vertical dimension to the universe and the cosmos. And then when we say the Swarga Loka is above and Satya Loka is above that, that is in terms of a karmic hierarchy.
Okay, so here's the. Okay, let me see if I can do this. So here's the insanity, right? He wants to say, okay, so the Bhagavatam has this vision of the universe, which is different than our version. And he says it's based on the evolution of consciousness of the residents of the cosmos. It features vertical dimensions unknown to modern science, and it places planets in hierarchy according to the level of consciousness. So basically he's saying this is based on the evolution of consciousness. So it's based on it's in your mind, is basically what he's saying. It's in your mind. You have to imagine this. It's based on the evolution of your consciousness. So if you haven't mentally gotten to the point where you can imagine what Prabhupada is saying, then you're not there yet. This is based on what you can fantasize in your mind, what you can imagine in your mind. It's based on the evolution of consciousness. So what does the evolution of consciousness mean? It means the progression of the way you think. The evolution, how your brain changes, your consciousness is going to change. How the way you're thinking, what you're feeling, thinking. So it's based on the evolution of the consciousness of the residents of the cosmos. So it's based on, you can only understand this when you can imagine it in your mind. There's no other way to explain it. It features vertical dimension unknown to modern science. So there's the catch-all, right? This is unknown to modern science. So then how can you explain it with modern science if this is unknown to modern science? How are you gonna sit there and try to explain something that we can't know or understand? And that's why Prabhupada says, Bali Maharaj had 8 billion servants, and you can either accept it or you can, because there's no way to explain it. There's just no way to explain it. Evolution of consciousness is not brainwashing and cult-like enforcement. Evolution of consciousness, he's just saying you have to be basically you have to be brainwashed in order to understand this. He's saying over time your thinking will change, and then you'll get it. And what you're going to get is unknown to modern science. It's all made up. So I'm trying to explain something to you that's unknown to modern science, so your brain won't be able to handle it because you've based everything on modern science or just the natural material world, and this is not part of the material world. Then why are you trying to explain it again materially? Places planets in a hierarchy according to the level of consciousness, but that's not what we can see, and it's not what we can experience. We can experience that the moon and how far it is, and that where the sun is, and how hot it is. These things are not a mystery anymore. These things were a mystery back when this Bhagavatam was written 1,000 years ago. They didn't even have telescopes. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't think they didn't know. Seems like Krishna preachers are simply imitating the bastardizing Buddhist philosophy that's kind of hilarious and stupid. There's a lot of back and forth between Buddhism and Hinduism. Because Buddhism is from India, and Buddha was Hindu, and before Buddhism, everyone was Hindu, or majority of people were Hindus in that part of the world. So Buddhism comes along, and Buddhism borrows from Hinduism because Buddha was a Hindu, and that's all they knew was Hindu scriptures, Hindu philosophy, Hindu ideas and cosmology and all of these things, mythology. So they borrowed, and then a lot of it went from back and forth. So and then of course, when Buddhism rose and overtook Hinduism, then there had to be this trying to wipe out Buddhism and trying to, where the Bhagavatam comes in and a lot of things come in where, or the Bhagavad Gita, where it was like, hey, Buddhism's bad and Hinduism is good. And it's hard to distinguish between what's going on and who's doing what and where and how this got there and how did that get there. It is hilarious and stupid. I have to agree. Let's get back. Let's see what else. Let's let him go on with his craziness.
Now we may depict it in terms of a geographical hierarchy when we draw diagrams of the universe, but there is much more to the description of the universe. So with this basic understanding of the vision of the universe, now let's move forward. So here, let's consider 3 buildings. So there's somebody living in flat A on the ground floor. Yeah, I'll do that, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know where he's getting this from. This is not explained in Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada doesn't explain anything like this. But somehow he decided he was going to create this PowerPoint and somehow try to explain how the moon is closer how the sun is closer than the moon. And none of this makes any sense, but let's listen to him try to explain it. It's pretty hysterical, actually. Let's see.
So at the bottom of the flat A ground level is the earth. So that's the right side. So now somebody is living here, and then far away from them somebody is living. So that is the sun. That is the leftmost, the flat, the white, the yellow one. That is the flat C. Okay. So flat A is the earth, flat C is the sun, and flat B, you will see it's at a very high level. You can say it's at the 20th level, but it is very close. So when Prabhupada is saying the sun is closer than the earth, it's closer to the earth than the moon, he is referring it in terms of the vertical dimension. Vertical dimension.
This, first of all, this is. Where'd I go? Oh, I'm gone. This is complete fabrication. I don't know where he's getting this idea that this is how Prabhupada explains, or this is how Prabhupada, what Prabhupada is describing or explaining when he says that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. He's just doing too much to try to convince. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Cosmos, resonance, God breathed by. This is so ridiculous. Yes, you are correct, Mike. What are you saying does not come from Prabhupada and the fraudulent books. I don't understand his PowerPoint slides at all. It makes, right? Yeah, I'm not the only one, right? I mean, I understand. I'm against the Bhagavatam, and I'm against all these fairy tales and everything. But what he's saying here just doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, you see the same thing. You see the same thing I'm seeing. It just. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but
the height of the sun is, in terms of height, the sun's plane is closer to the earth's plane than the moon's plane.
So he's imagining that the earth is fixed on a plane somehow, and the sun is at so many degrees above that plane, like it'd be like 10 degrees, or I don't know what that angle is. I'm not good at geometry, but that that angle between the flat C, is that angle is very small. Where the angle, the Earth and the Moon, flat B, is it's a much greater angle. It's almost like a 90 degrees, right? Is that 90 degrees? 45 degrees, 90 degrees. It's almost a 90 degree angle, whereas the sun is like at a 10 degree. And so but that's not how it works. I can't even wrap my head around the fact that he's using that as an example.
If you consider the plane, then the sun is closer in its plane, but not in the geographical distance.
Plane.
So the Earth is at the ground level, the sun is at the second level. So earlier I also described that the Earth is the Bhumandala, and the Manasottar Parvat, the sun is moving around. But the Soma is way above. So flat B is horizontally, if we consider, in terms of horizontal dimensions, so flat B is much closer to flat A. So here now we have three ways of measuring distance. One is, you look at the planes of all the three places, the plane in which they are existing.
So
the Earth.
He's just making up his own. He's just making up his own science. He's just making it. New school of thought. Sun and the Moon, Gyan by Baba Nonsense. Baba Nonsense, Walla. Baba Nonsense is hilarious. I don't know. I love your icons. They're great. Fake human with the icons. You got the sun, and then you got like some kind of file. It just doesn't make sense. You know what? The more they bullshit, the more obvious it becomes that they have absolutely no idea what he's talking. He has no idea what he's trying to say. The sun and the moon. What plane of what? A plane of insanity. It's a plane to a mental institute. I swear, he's mental just for trying to explain this. This is exactly why Prabhupada didn't try to explain it. Prabhupada's not going to get into like, oh well, there's a plane and the sun and the moon. No, Prabhupada just cut right to the chase. Sunday comes before Monday, and that's why. Okay, it's Earth, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Saturn Day. He's like, Sunday, Monday, and then Sunday, Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter. That's what he's thinking. This is what Prabhupada's thinking. Earth, and then you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You have Sunday, Moon, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. The days of the week. Because that's probably what he was taught when he went to school in 19 shit. That's what they that's what they taught him in India when he was in elementary school or some dumb thing that whatever he learned. And then when he got to Scottish churches and they were trying to explain him like real knowledge, he was like, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was absolutely freaking ridiculous.
And the moon. If you look at the three planes and measure the distance between them, then the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. But if we look at it in terms of the horizontal distance, the sun is much, much further away. And then if we look at the effective distance, that is the diagonal distance. During the diagonal distance also, the sun is much further away. So when Prabhupada is talking about the sun being closer, it is primarily in terms of the plane at which the sun is existing. It's not the physical distance of the sun to the earth, but the distance of the solar plane to the earth's plane. So the Manasot, just now when we started the class, it is described that the solar plane is at a particular.
Okay, I think we've seen enough of this guy. Oh, look, where'd I go? Okay. this one right here. This is a good one, Mike. He did not snort snuff like Prabhupada. That is why he's preaching the plane of insanity. He's insane in the membrane. Okay, there's some truth in what you're saying. Okay, Prabhupada was definitely, whether you believe this shit or not, and I don't. Definitely, Prabhupada was definitely he wasn't like his followers. Okay, he was on another level. If you've ever been to India, you will run into people who are, whether you believe in it or not, they act differently, and they're, mentally they're like a Dalai Lama. They're practicing something. Okay, it's not different than, let's say, like a health food nut who he controls what he eats. He doesn't eat any of this fatty stuff, and I don't eat fast food, and I don't eat junk food, and I don't eat raw brown rice. Right? He takes care of himself, and he's. So there's people that are spiritually like that. They're like, hey, I only think I'm kind and I'm good and I'm honest and I do all these things to elevate their spiritual growth through life. Okay, that's that's one thing. So Prabhupada was definitely like that. Okay, he was definitely trying to become a cult leader and try to be this spiritual leader, this spiritual cult leader, and act on a spiritual plane, thinking that he's a spiritual leader. Prabhupada didn't have to. So therefore, yeah, Prabhupada could do snuff, but he could also be like, I don't need to explain this shit. I'm a guru. You come to me, you sit at my feet, you wash my feet, and when I say that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon, you say yes. I don't explain this stuff to you. If I want to explain it, I'll explain it. If I don't explain it, then that's it. You can ask me, and you accept my answer. If you ask me how do the vegetables get their flavor, and I say the moonlight, and you say, well, how does that happen? And I say, well, you got to ask the moon. Then you can take a hint, okay? Take a hint. If you come and ask me, how does Bali Maharaj have 4 billion servants when there weren't even 4 billion people on the planet, then he's like, don't ask me to explain that to you. What do you want me to do? Sit down and explain to you how he built toilets for everybody and everybody lived in a thing and there was a whole country just for his people? No, Prabhupada's not going to doing all that. But this guy doesn't have that spiritual potency where he can sit up there and go, hey, all you people that are questioning about the sun and the moon, you need to stop. Prabhupada says in his books, the sun is closer to the earth than the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. And that's it. I'm not drawing you no diagram with no twin towers or whatever on there and showing you the degree and imagine if you were living in this apartment and the sun was living in, what the fuck? Who does that? He's just showing his ass, like you said. He's just showing how stupid he is. He should be sitting there going, we don't ask these stupid questions. But no, he wants to be like those guys that were asking, how does Bali Maharaj have 4 billion servants? He wants to explain it. Well, this is how it happens. This is how the sun is closer to the moon. It's on a different plane, and that plane is on a different degree, and the degree is it's all different, and it's spiritual, but yet, even though it's spiritual, we can't see it, and it's a spiritual science that we can't explain. I'm going to explain it to you. I'm a fucking idiot. Ice is made from water. He needs to stick with simple stuff. 4 billion ants and dust, 4 billion ants and dust as servants. Yeah, maybe that's what I don't know, but no. The analogy could have been that Bali Maharaj didn't have 4 billion servants, but he had like more than anybody could have even imagined. No one's ever seen that many before, not 4 billion. But they poetically put he had 4 billion servants. They could easily said they have 4 billion servants, but he just, instead of saying he had more than I could comprehend, or he had more than no one had ever seen that many servants before, or he had servants up the yin yang. They could have used any kind of metaphor, but they used the 4 billion servants metaphor, and Prabhupada says, oh, 4 billion means 4 billion. It has to be 4 billion, that's it. Bing. So then they come and they ask him, well, how can it be 4 billion? Don't ask me. It says 4 billion, it's 4 billion. Yeah, it's like someone coming, it's like someone 1,000 years from now, they find Frankenstein, and they go, you know, how did the guy put the monster together? Like, how did he do that? Well, he didn't. There was no monster, and no one put him together. It was just a story. Just a story. But again, Prabhupada can't comprehend the concept that this is just a story, and he'd been fooled his whole life. And that this isn't, that there is no, you know, there is none of that. He can't comprehend that. That's beyond his imagination. It's beyond anything he can comprehend. The more they lie, the dumber they look. Exactly. Like, how first of all, if I was sitting in the audience in this and I was like a new devotee and I'm reading the books and he comes up and he starts with this shit, I'd be like, you know what? I was with you before. I'd be like, you know, I was with you before when it was the demon head eating the moon and all that stuff. But now that you're trying to explain it to me, it makes even less sense than it did before. That's like, you know, you're trying too hard and you ruined it. Let's be metaphoric. No, let's be literal and make belief. That's it. That's it. You guys, he's trying to explain something that you cannot explain. You can't explain it. That's why Prabhupada said Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He just said, he just cut to the chase. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'm not explaining this shit. We didn't go to the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. End of story. End of story. And I got to give Prabhupada credit for just sticking to his story and not trying to be like, well, you know, there's a plane where there's this and the moon and the sun and then. No, Prabhupada just was like, fuck it. I'm sticking to that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So, you know, that's how you can tell the difference between a Prabhu fraud and this amateur Prabhu fraud. Let me see what I got up next. Oh, what do we got? I'm showing you this guy because this guy's been accused of child molestation. Back to that again. That's how you can't get away from it. I'm looking for preachers that are just fucking gonna just talk shit, and I end up with this guy. And I was like, I don't want to do him because this is a child molestation. But what can you do? What can you do? I mean, what can you do? What can you do?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for joining the Monks podcast today. It's been a great aspiration for me to have your august presence here. And I'm very grateful that you could spare the time today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, on this podcast, we usually try to discuss topics which go deeper into our issues relevant to devotees and aspiring devotees. So today, since my first encounter with you, I was born and brought up in Maharashtra, and almost all the devotees I met.
We had many encounters in the past. Maybe this is after
Yes, Maharaj.
a break.
Yes, Maharaj. So you were among the first. So I met many devotees when I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, but you were the first ISKCON devotee leader who was not only from a Maharashtrian background, but you also brought your Maharashtrian bhakti into your Krishna consciousness. So I grew up in a devotional, more religious than devotional family, but we used to have Manate Shlok and other regional bhakti songs and bhakti verses being recited. So Since that time, I was fascinated about how Gaudiya Bhakti and Maharashtrian Bhakti, how they can come together.
Okay, so what I have to say about this so far, right? This is what I'm going to say right now, right off the bat, is this guy, this Lokanath Swami, was accused of inappropriate conduct with a young girl. That girl is now grown, and she's a grown woman now. And she's come out and she spilled the beans on what happened, because at the time they covered it up. It was a total cover-up. And they tried to say that he didn't do anything wrong, and it was whatever. And so now that she's grown, and it's a big controversy. And she's grown, she's come out, and she spilled the beans, and she said, look, this is what happened. And she explained that he touched her over numerous times, over a period of time, touched her inappropriately. And then it's now come out years later, because this was years ago, they brushed it under the rug, and then they brushed it under the rug, and now it's come out recently, the details of how they brushed it under the rug, and how it was basically a big cover-up, how they all knew that he was guilty of what he did, and they just covered it up, or whatever. So I don't know all the details of it, but I know that that's basically that's the gist of what's happened. So it's still in everyone's mind to this day that this guy, not only did he molest this girl or touch her or whatever he did, he covered it up. And not only did he cover it up, but all of ISKCON covered it up for him, because he's a big leader. So right off the bat, they're going to interview this guy, and they're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about, well, how does a guru that's been in the movement for so many years, and practicing bhakti and practicing all of this and doing all of this, how does he get caught up in this controversy? Do you want to come clean and explain exactly what happened now? How do we move forward? That's what the guy was saying yesterday on the clip I was showing yesterday. Is like, how do we move forward if you can't address the crimes or the atrocities, the molestations, the hurt, the trauma that you've caused your disciples and your disciples' families, and this girl that you touched, and possibly other girls that he's touched? I think someone else has accused him of something. I'm not sure, but I think maybe someone else has accused him of something. So how do you move forward if he can't even address it? And nobody wants to address it. They're just going to act like nothing ever happened. And he's going to go on and he's going to do his Monks podcast and promote this guy, and put more people in danger by promoting this guy who has a history of touching girls and covering it up. He has the history of touching girls and covering it up. And they cover it up for him. And he's going to go on this podcast, and he's going to sit there and preach, and they're going to talk about the holy name and this and that. Like he's a holy man that has something to say. Address your issues first, and then you can move on. I don't want to hear anything he has to say unless he's going to start off by saying, hey, that girl I touched, that was wrong. Never should have touched her, man. No. He's going to act like nothing ever happened. Everybody knows that he touched this girl. I'd say, how do you sleep at night? How do you sit there in your orange garb? How do you sit there in your orange garb with your Nishinga mala, whatever, around your neck, and your Brahmin thread around your neck, and tilak on your head, and all of this shit, knowing what you've done? You should be ashamed of yourself. No shame. These guys have no shame. Why? Why does he have no shame? Because he believes 11-year-old girls. Hey, 11-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls. Hey, they like to be raped. It's just an itch. It needs to be scratched. It's not a big deal. It's not like he married her or anything. Let's see. Lokanath rape cases. Was it? I don't know if it was rape. Was it rape? I don't know if it was rape. Lokanath. Concealment, deception, inconsistencies, lack of accountability by ISKCON leadership. Yeah, it all came out. I mean, everyone knew he did stuff, but it all came out that there were others helping him cover it up. Others helping him cover it up. And they knew that he was guilty. These guys, man. These guys, these fake-ass preachers, man. If you're a real preacher, come out and say, "Hey, I screwed up, man. I touched this little girl. It was wrong. I'm a disgusting old man, but I'm trying to get better." Do that. Can't even do that. Can't even do that. And they want to sit there and talk about truthfulness. You know, he's going to sit on the show and he's going to talk about. He's going to preach. Let's see. Just out of curiosity, he's going to talk for an hour and a half. Let's see. What does he talk about? What is he talking about now in this part of the show?
And taking darshan and from Naga Babas and so many third. So the Prabhupada was there, but I think that was not even tried to become Mahant or so. These developments took after Prabhupada.
Yes, Maharaj. So you were, so the Mahant specifically appointed you as a representative of ISKCON or you as an individual? How does this?
I am representing ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
Oh, okay. Yes, Maharaj, amazing.
Okay, so he's talking about how he was appointed the Mahant of ISKCON at the Kumbh Mela in India, which is a big thing. He was appointed or anointed the spiritual head of ISKCON at the Kumbh Mela or whatever the bullshit. So what does that tell you? There was no other spiritual head that they could pick that didn't have charges of child abuse? ISKCON leadership has downplayed and minimized his child abuse molest case since 1993 when they first became aware. 1993. That girl has since grown up and has said everything and said, "Hey, it's not what they said. This is what really happened." In May of 2021, when ISKCON proclaimed they would finally give Lokanath's child abuse case to their CPO to be handled properly, ISKCON's India leadership lobbied against this. Yeah, they didn't want, right, they didn't want it to be turned over to the Child Protection Office. They wanted it to just be closed and let's just pretend like nothing ever happened. It's another nothing ever happened type deal. They figure if they can just wait it out, like a spiritual statute of limitations, 1990. Yeah, I heard about some stuff when I was in. So shit was happening. That's crazy. It's crazy. And was appointed the leader of ISKCON, it's the spiritual head of ISKCON at the Kumbh Mela. So he got, they didn't have anyone else that wasn't accused of covering up a child abuse situation. And they don't care. What leads them to not even care? Like 7-Eleven wouldn't even put somebody in their, a spokesman for their Slurpee if that person had anything to do with touching a child inappropriately. I mean, 7-Eleven wouldn't even have anything to do with that, or McDonald's. Like that Jared guy from Subway. I mean, ISKCON, oh, no problem. Hey, you touch a little girl? Hey, why don't you be the head of the Kumbh Mela this year? We'll send you the Kumbh Mela and you can head that off. Only aware of such cases in 1993. The girl was molested in 90 and she was 11. She was 11, just like my daughter was 11. That's who these guys are preaching on the internet, and that's insane. That in itself is insane. That in itself is insane. This guy's preaching to people, and they're looking at him and going, "Wow, he's a spiritual guy. He's going to teach me spiritual, life. He's going to take me to the next stage. He's going to give me the higher stage of love of God or whatever fucking bullshit they tell him. Total freedom or whatever." God damn. Stupid shit. Here's another one. Here's another friggin' thinks he's the Dalai Lama. I don't know if any of you guys seen this guy, but let's go with this one now. Let's see. Let me see what we got here.
Because the sound is spiritual by nature, and that you have to test it out. In that mantras you can recite daily, and you find within them greater shelter and peace and a sense of connection. So many words we say every day, but they are material because when we deal with them, they create anxiety because they're dealing with temporary things. But mantras are addressing the higher reality, the spiritual reality.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Welcome to the Beyond.
Wait, did this guy say he's offering the truth? He said he's offering the truth. This guy just said he's offering the truth, and these guys are not honest about anything. What truth is? What friggin' truth is he?
Podcast. Welcome, Xavier the Monk. Today we have a very special guest, good friend of mine, never meet so often, always traveling around and in Europe, South Africa, America, all around the globe to give people hope in this world of material conditioning, helping people to finding real joy, peace, wisdom from within. I met you maybe 10 years.
World of death, he says. It's a world of death. That's how they describe it's temporary and then death. Like they can't understand that you can live and enjoy yourself. They just can't get that concept bothers them. There's no enjoyment, and not only is there no enjoyment, but you're just going to die anyway.
A Vedic temple in Germany. I was very inspired. The way you present Krishna consciousness, the way you present God consciousness. You're very authentic, natural, happy. I think this is the main indicator of a spiritual person, to be happy and to share this happiness with others. So what's your journey? Why are you here today? And what? Xavier the Monk.
That's not true, because there's a lot of people that are happy that are not spiritually inclined. You don't have to be on a spiritual path to be happy. There's plenty of people who are just happy, and it's not like you're happy 24 hours a day. Life is not like that. That's not life. Life is ups and downs. There's happy, good times, bad times. It's just not. There's not. And these devotees will say, well, no, when I'm at Hare Krishna, I'm feeling so good. But no, you have just as many problems as anybody else. And you have physical problems, you have emotional problems, you have financial problems, you have all of these same problems. You have all the same problems that everybody else has. You're just brainwashed into thinking that you are somehow spiritually advanced and you're just skating through life. And again, when you realize that you're not, and that what they're telling you is not, it's a big crash. It's a big heavy duty crash.
Conditioning, helping people to finding real joy, peace, wisdom from within. I met you maybe 10 years ago, a Vedic temple in Germany. I was very inspired. The way you present Krishna consciousness, the way you present God consciousness. You're very authentic, natural, happy. I think this is the main indicator of a spiritual person, to be happy and to share this happiness with others. So what's your journey? Why are you here today? And what can you tell us about being really happy from within?
I'm happy to be with you and happy to say hello to everybody. Namaste, Hare Krishna. I'm in Germany now since the 9th. I came in October. It seems that there's a connection I have with Germany.
Germany, yeah.
Yeah. Since I think 2015, I first came. I was part of a crew. We're traveling in a bus. And part of that tour was also sharing wisdom as we go around. I particularly liked Germans because they were philosophically inclined. If it makes sense, they're willing to engage. And I started my journey as a monk in South Africa in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was also just like any young man trying to find out what can I do to make my life happier, peaceful. And I was very afraid to be stuck in the rat race. And by good fortune and the arrangements of the Super Soul, I met some Hare Krishna monks on campus, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And it was amazing to see young people with a commitment to spiritual practice. And what I liked about them, that their story was uniform. Generally, most people, each one thinks this, I think that, but it seemed that they were part of a very broad, deep culture. And because I'd been investigating...
He liked that they all thought the same, like they were very culty. So he liked that. He liked the idea that they all had the same cult thought. They didn't have any independent ideas or any independent thought. They all were thought exactly the same, and he was attracted to that, evidently.
Any other spiritual paths, I thought, let me give this a chance. And I especially liked because they had a practical method that...
Okay, so he just said something that I have been saying since the very beginning, is that all it takes to get into this cult is to have an open mind and to say, hey, let me check it out. Let me check it out. Let me take the book and read it. Let me go to the temple and see what's going on there. And it seems so, innocuous or so harmless to just take a book, and you don't think, well, I'm not going to be, I can take this book and read it and not fall into the cult trap. Yes, you can. My mother read it and she hated it. She's like, I don't want nothing to do with that book. I mean, that book, she's like, that book is just, I don't like it. And so, yeah, you could, not everyone, it's not like you touch the book like King Midas, you touch the book and then all of a sudden, bing, your brain is like, no. But having an open mind, like he just said, I was like, let me give it a try. Let me check it out. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And believe me, that's how everybody who has ever joined this cult started off thinking, this is harmless. Let me, I'll take a book or I'll go to the temple or whatever. It's no big deal.
Would follow a process daily, and this culture of meditation. It immediately was able to give me shelter. The mind is always busy with whatever is going on. The heart is longing for so much. But I found this sound vibration was able to just fill the heart with joy. And then the wisdom made me understand why things worked the way they worked in life. So I think this combination of a spiritual practice and a very clear philosophical base.
So I wonder if he means I wonder if he means the philosophical basis of women have a small brain, women like to be raped, women are 9 times lustier than men, that you should avoid women. Obviously, he wants to avoid women. He's wearing orange, which is basically the sign that says, I hate and degrade women. He doesn't want anything to do with women. He doesn't even want to be alone with a woman. He's like these born again Christians, or these very evangelical Christians that feel like I can't be around a woman that's not my wife. It's like I can't handle it. It's wrong. I can't be around women. So they're even worse than that. So because it's not that they just don't want to be around women. They just don't they hate women. You can't say that a woman has a small brain. She's less intelligent. She likes to be raped. There's 3 things you can beat: a drum, a dog, and a woman. And I don't even like the fact that they say you can beat a dog. But the fact that they say you can beat a dog, a drum, and a woman, and that women are 9 times lustier than men, and don't give women, positions of authority, and so many things that they say against women, that how can they respect women? Or, it's just, that in itself is abuse. If you believe those type of things and that's how you live your life, how is that not abusive to women? How is that not abusive to women? Just in your philosophy is a woman-hating, misogynistic philosophy. And what does this guy know about love and about relationships and about women, that he's got to put on this orange thing and declare himself, I don't want anything to do with women. Women are this and that. I mean, he's just completely adopted. Just like I said, how they wanted me to adopt this idea that 12-year-old, 11-year-old girls are perfect for being wives. And if you don't accept that, then you're an offender. You're the offender. You're the operati, and all of this stuff. Like what? I have to be a pedophile. I have to hate women. I have to believe that women have a small brain. I have to believe women are 9 times lustier than men. All of these ideas, I have to adopt these ideas and put on an orange outfit that screams, I hate women. This guy. He hears the sound vibration. He doesn't understand that sound vibration is just sound vibration. There's no spiritual sound. There's no spiritual sound. Is
the formula to creating happiness. You know who you are. You know how the world operates. And you are able to tap into your spirituality daily.
I practice because otherwise we have religions and lots of sentiments, and sometimes you have lots of philosophy. But what you say is you found a way to combine both, to not just...
You can sit there and talk about how other religions have sentiment. You guys are just as sentimental. How can you sit there and not understand how sentimental you are towards Prabhupada and Prabhupada's books? No, they want to hide it and say, well, no, it's scientific. And no, that's not scientific. You guys are sentimental. You guys are sentimental towards all of this crap. Because it's nothing but sentiment. There's nothing real about it. It's just your sentiment. It's just how you feel, your respect. Oh, Prabhu this, Prabhu that. He drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah, we all drank we all drank some Kool-Aid. But how did this guy go from, he's sounds like he's like South African or something, or he's from Africa, or he's from some developing country like that. How did he go from being in a South African country, developing South African country, to hating, probably said black people belong in the jungles. That they shouldn't have been given freedom, and they never should have been given civil rights, and that Abraham Lincoln was wrong for freeing them. Probably said that, we can use the good ones. He said the good ones, we can use them. And we can train them up, the good ones. But the vicious ones, the ones that live in Detroit, the vicious animals in Detroit, we don't want them. That's what Prabhupada said about black people, about Africans. He said Africans belong in the jungle. He said they were ugly. They say that if you have a black body, it's bad karma to have a black body because you're ugly. But Krishna was black, and they like to say they like to excuse their racism and say, Krishna is black and Jagannath is black. Are you saying that Jagannath is African? Are you saying that Krishna was African? Because that's what I'm trying to understand. Because your racism is towards Africans and African Americans. It's not towards black Indians, dark-skinned Indians, although Prabhupada didn't like them either. We're talking about the Africans in Detroit. We're talking about the vicious animals in Detroit that Prabhupada didn't like. We're talking about the ones that stole his typewriter in New York City. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about those black people. We're not talking about Krishna was, and they don't even say Krishna was black. They say Krishna was blackish. He was blue. He was blue-black. Next time any Hare Krishna says something about, well, Krishna was black, say, well, you mean he was African? Are you saying Krishna was African? And they're going to say, no, Krishna was not African. Don't be offensive.
Feel good, but also to understand the deeper knowledge behind it, right?
Yes. And it was something that could be communicated to anyone who is actually seeking. If only someone just is able to give an ear, it's almost like we're being reminded of something that we know. We've just forgotten it. So, practical practice and theories that you can test out and verify them to be true.
And what do you mean we've forgotten that we already...
What theory can you test out and verify that it's true? That's what I want to know. He just throws that out there and then just goes and then it's like you can practice and then you can test it and you can see that it's true and then he just goes right on like then wait, what do you mean by that?
Now, right now, I want to ask my questions now and I want to have my answers now. You hear?
What can you do that you can scientifically prove? What is it that you can do? Chant? If it's chanting, how did Trivikram fall down? If it's following the four regular principles, how did Trivikram fall down? How did Kirtananda fall down? How did these things happen? Oh, it was Maya. It was Maya? So Maya is stronger than Krishna? Maya is stronger than the holy name? Should I just chant Maya, Maya, Maya then? If Maya is stronger than Krishna, and Trivikram can fall down, and Kirtan, well then what's stopping me from falling down? These guys are chanting for years. Yashodanandan and Satsvarup and Hansaduta and Rameshwar and all these guys, they've been chanting way long. They were right there with Prabhupada face in his room talking to him. They were doing so much service, all this devotional service for Prabhupada and all these chanting and all these sacrifices and all this preaching they were doing. How did they fall down? If the holy name is so strong and it's so powerful and Krishna's dancing and Lord Chaitanya comes down and all of these things, how? How does Maya take hold? How does Maya conquer that? How? How does Maya conquer the holy name and bhakti and Varnashram and all of these things that, he's reading the books. He's chanting his rounds. He's reading the books. He's lecturing. He's serving. He's distributing. He's doing all this stuff, and he falls down. Not only falls down, he falls down hard with a 35-year-old girl, getting her pregnant, possibly getting her pregnant. How does that happen? How does the guy fall down into molesting little boys? How does Lokanath Swami, spiritual head of ISKCON, molest a little 11-year-old girl? How does he do that when he's chanting and following? He's got the beads on, he's got the tilak on, and he's got the orange thing on that's supposed to help keep the women away. And he's eating the prasadam, and he's doing all of the stuff. How? How can that happen? What chance do I have? What chance do I have? Seriously, what chance do I have if fucking Trivikram can't do it? And none of these guys have been able to do it. They're protecting pedophiles, they're protecting this and that, and you want me to think that chanting some mantra is going to fix my fucking life? You're out of your mind. From what I see and from what I read and from what I experienced, you guys are more fucked up than anybody. You're the most fucked up people on the planet, but you sit there and act like you're a fucking Mr. Holy Man. Trying to explain how the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. And trying to explain how a demon head is eating the moon during an eclipse. And all kinds of crazy fucking shit. And then you want to tell me that if I chant this thing and follow these things and do these things, that somehow my life's going to be perfect? You got to be fucking out of your mind. Out of your fucking mind.
Because now we don't know. So what do you mean we've forgotten who we are, or?
Yes, there's a forgetfulness of our eternal nature as spiritual beings.
We've forgotten who we are. How convenient. How convenient that we've forgotten who we are, and this Prabhupada guy had to come and tell us and remind. How convenient of a story is that?
You see, in the world, we're looking for all the good qualities. But where are they coming from? Good qualities, they're actually the qualities of the soul. And
good qualities, like the qualities of women like to be raped, and women have a small brain, and 11-year-old girls make the best wives, and black people are ugly and belong in the jungles, and if you build a library, black people only come for drinking. What about those quotes? Does he like those quotes? How come he doesn't talk about that? Why doesn't he talk about how if you build a library, black people only come for drinking and they won't come for reading? Or how can he explain to us about, how black people are ugly and they belong in the jungles and never should have come out of the jungle? Can you explain that? Can you elaborate on that for us? Because that's really, I'm kind of hung up on that one. Can you elaborate that for me? I mean, the guy drew a diagram to explain how the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. He went as far as to have a whole PowerPoint. Can you have a PowerPoint and explain to me how black people are ugly and they belong in the jungles and they never should have been given freedom and civil rights was a failure and Martin Luther King was a failure? Can we have a PowerPoint on that? Can you give me a PowerPoint on how women like to be raped? Women have small brains. Women are 9 times lustier than men. And there's 3 things that you can beat: a man, a woman, a dog, and a drum. Can we have a PowerPoint on that and explain that for us? How about that? I mean, while you're at it, while you're sitting there in your orange outfit and your beads and you're being Mr. Holy Man, how about if you explain some of that for us?
good can only be linked ultimately to ultimate good. So, although we all think we're good people, I mean, many people have experienced that. You do something, maybe you make a mistake, and you have to be called out for it or even punished. Inside you, you feel, I'm not such a bad person. I made a mistake.
What is he talking about? What?
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
So we know that there's a higher self, there's a more spiritual being within us, but
He just said, wait a minute.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
He just said, like, so you do something and you make a mistake and you get called out for it, and then you realize inside that there's a higher self. What the fuck was that? Seriously, what the fuck is that? I
ultimately to ultimate good. So, although we all think we're good people, I mean, many people have experienced that. You do something, maybe you make a mistake, and you have to be called out for it or even punished. Inside you, you feel, you know, I'm not such a bad person. I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there's a higher self. There's a more spiritual being within us, but somehow there's a nature that has come over us.
Mm.
And so now we are functioning based on programming.
What in God's holy name are you
Where's the
blathering
conditioning
about?
coming from? I mean, I'm also, believe it or not, I was a monk like him.
Yeah.
A few years back, I was also in saffron orange robes, and I'm still a monk within. I think it's
Oh, so he just admitted that he was a monk dressed in orange, but he couldn't do it. He wanted to have sex.
No.
He wanted to have sex with a woman. Even he was doing it. He failed, and so he put on the white clothes. But he says, "I'm still a monk inside." Like that. Like, what does that mean? Like, I can just imagine. This is like bullshit. I can just imagine I'm a monk and I'm technically a monk. That's like, I imagine myself chanting 850,000 rounds an hour. Does that mean I'm chanting 650,000 rounds an hour? I imagine that's like a crazy person on Venice Beach that thinks that they're the friggin' governor of California and they're walking around going, I'm the governor of California. No, you're not. You're not a monk. You never were a monk. Just because you were following these 4 regulative principles and you're repeating the crap in Prabhupada's books, it doesn't make you anything. It doesn't make you, least of all, a monk. That's where these guys go off the rails, is that they think that if they follow these 4 regulative principles, which anybody can follow, that's not a great accomplishment in itself. There are plenty of people on the planet that are following 4 regulative principles and they're not Hare Krishnas. Like Prabhupada says, you can be in the hospital and following 4 regulative principles. You can have a medical condition and you can't eat meat. You can't eat dairy, or you can't eat whatever, and you can't drink and you can't smoke. It's following material regulations doesn't make you spiritual. It just doesn't. And the idea that does is ludicrous, I guess. I don't know what it is. It's ridiculous. But here these 2 guys cosplaying, sitting there cosplaying. One guy's cosplaying as a woman hater, and the other one's cosplaying as a woman lover. He's got the orange on, he's got the white on. It's retards are us. There they are. Exactly. It's crazy. It's spiritual being, physical being. Yeah, I know. And see, people who have no understanding of this, like I can understand that there's people in the world that have never been exposed to anything like this at all, and they see this and they go, oh, well, who's that? Wow, he sounds so amazing. He sounds so spiritual, and that's why I'm doing this, because this is bullshit. This is 100% fucking bullshit. Most of these monks are not following all the principles. I've had 5 monks of saffron chase me, check me out, and follow me around. Exactly. And what, okay, I'll explain exactly what that is if you want. We can get into that. Let's get into that. Let me go back over here. So they want a wife. They don't want to be a monk anymore. They want a wife. They're looking for their wife. And they're following you around, and they're like, oh, maybe she's the one. Maybe I like her. Maybe I like her. And then it's such bullshit. Is that they want a wife? It's like they're looking. It's like they're browsing through a sex shop looking for the right sex toy, or looking for the right jack-off magazine, or looking for the right porno video. Let me see what's out there, so that I can use to enjoy myself. And then when I'm done with her, I'm just going to tell her to toss her to the side. You know they're going to toss you to the side. That's in Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada says when you reach 50 years old, you need to just leave your wife, your kids, your wife, and go to the forest and be a vanaprastha. Just go. So Prabhupada says that in his books. He's like, every woman who reads Prabhupada's books should understand that at 50 years old, your husband he can leave you if he wants to. He can just leave. Go to India and leave you, and you like... One is a sannyasi. Yeah, they're looking to give up. They're looking to give up. They want to change ashram, so they're looking around. Let me see what's out there. Let me see what's out there I can find. Trivikram, he got a assisted living. He's got a wife, assisted living. He's got an assistant. He's got a human book bag, whatever you want to call it. But you don't put on orange and then take it off and put on white and then take that off, put orange back on. That's no different than Radha Kunda, who's like, I'm going to just go have sex during the week, and then on Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to go to the temple and pretend I'm a holy man, and I'm going to give a lecture because I'm an old Prabhupada disciple, and hey, I got carte blanche because I'm Prabhupada's disciple. Any temple I go to, I'm Radha Kunda. So yeah, I can do whatever I want. And as soon as I walk into the temple, it's like, oh, it's Radha Kunda. Blah, blah. Who the fuck? Who the fuck are you? All of these guys, they're all the same. These guys too. It's such bullshit. First of all, if he was honest, he'd say, hey, I know Prabhupada says some wacky stuff in his books, man. He says some shit about black people. Not even black people, he says Negroes. He says some wacky stuff about Negroes. He says some crazy stuff about women. He neglected his kids. He was 22 and his wife was 11. I mean, how do you just shove that shit away and go, you know what, I want to hear more about the demon head that's eating the moon. I don't want to hear about that other stuff. I want to hear more about the demon head. How do you do that? How insane do you have to be to go, you know what, yeah, let me just stick my kid, after all the shit that I've heard, let me go ahead and stick my kid in the school and, tell me more about the demon head that eats the moon. I want to know about that. Fucking insanity. Insanity. I think I can handle one more. And of course, this is a great one because there are women in the movement that feel like they have to stand up and talk, like they have to have, the insanity, like. They're so abused and so hated and so mistreated and so looked down on, and so it's just. And yet, you know what? Let me get on YouTube and make a video about it. Let me get on YouTube and make a video about how I'm treated in the Hare Krishnas, because I'm like, I don't know what this is. This could be like a hostage video. I have no idea what this is gonna be. What this is gonna be like. Let's see.
He becomes very powerful. And I have seen this in Bangladesh, because there the ladies, they are very chaste, and they have this shyness and they keep this energy, this powerful feminine energy within, and they become very powerful ladies, very, very powerful.
So she wants you to believe that these women who are very shy and keep to themselves and just are showered with abuse, they're showered with abuse, that somehow they become very powerful because they're shy and they keep to themselves, and so somehow they get this Shakti. And I don't know what they do with that Shakti, because they definitely don't display it. They don't display it at all. I mean, they just keep, let's go on with this insanity.
Had retreats, ladies' retreats, and when we were chanting the holy name there in Kirtan, wow, it was such powerful energy in the room, much more than when I was chanting with the men. So I could really observe, yes, it is in fact like this. If the ladies have this shyness and keep this powerful energy within, then they become spiritually very, very strong and very powerful. So in any case, there are so many deep and interesting things to learn, you know, about the position of women and how they're meant to use their vehicle and all the different qualities and natures which the female vehicle brings along, how we are meant to use this for the upliftment and stability of the whole human society. And this is my humble attempt to teach this wherever I have an opportunity, because I'm convinced that only if we get to deeper levels of understanding these things, then we will be able to actually bring Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement.
The deeper understanding of what? Of being shy and not speaking up for yourself and being abused and being looked down on and being hated and mistreated and not trusted. Prabhupada says, never trust a politician or a woman. Prabhupada says women are 9 times lustier than men. That's not a compliment. He says women have small brains and are less intelligent. He says don't give them positions of authority or power. He ridiculed female leaders, Indira Gandhi and other leaders, Golda Meir. He said there are no women, great women anything. There's no great women mathematicians, no great women philosophers, no great women artists, no great women playwrights. Of course, he's wrong on all of those, on all of that. But that was his point of view. Is that the women are not? Women don't do anything great. Small brain, lusty women. They're just good. He said they don't even need to go to school. They just need to like cook and clean, take care of the kids till you just put them in my concentration camps. What is she talking about? What quality of a woman, a shyness?
The last little comment up.
What does that do? Cower in a room? You know how many women I know in the Hare Krishna movement in L.A. on Watsika that were in abusive relationships? Like every one. It's abusive just to hold those thoughts about women, whether you act on them or not. Whether you act on them or not, you have these ideas about women, that women are stupid and women have small brains and they're lusty and they cause you to fall down, and you got half of your cult is wearing orange, which means I don't have anything to do with women, I hate them. And those are the ones that are like looked up to and respected and worshipped. It's a fucking disgusting fucking cult. And this woman's gonna sit there and say, hey, this is great. And she's gonna sit there and say, this is great. Like we don't know. Like I don't know how women are treated in this movement. Like other women don't know how women are treated in this movement. Shyness is a strength. She's got to try and brainwash. She got I don't know what she fucking. This is like trying to explain that Sunday comes before Monday. This is the same thing. Hey, you're shy, but you can use that shyness to your advantage by being really shy and like not standing up for yourself, and just always turning the other cheek and just never just don't make waves or nothing. But you'll be spiritually powerful because when you're chanting kirtan, you can really feel it in the room. It was amazing. I had all these abused women. We were all sitting there chanting together, and boy, you could really feel the power of all our abuses just coming out in our chanting. Yeah, I can imagine. I don't blame you. Okay, that's the only time you get to friggin' be yourself and express yourself. Yeah, all your pain and all your suffering and all the trauma, yeah, it was all coming out in your kirtan because that's all you got. What else do you have? You can't openly talk about it. You can't bring it up in class. The books don't help. I'm going to tell you, read more, Mataji. Oh, yeah, I'll just read more of this depressing-ass shit that talks about how horrible I am as a woman. Yeah, that's what I need to hear. This poor woman, man, she got to try to fucking brainwash herself into believing that she's got some power, some imaginary power that she don't have at all.
Mike, it does not mean that a woman should not preach. This is a complete misunderstanding. Very often when we hear, women in spiritual culture, we have this cliche thinking. We think, that means a woman should only be at home and roll chapatis. Well, how?
See, she knows exactly what she's talking about because that's what they hear all the time, and that's exactly what it says. She's trying to convince herself and convince others that your shyness and your being mistreated is a source of strength. And in a way it is. If you leave, if you use it to leave, but if you just use it, what are you doing by just cowering in the corner and saying I'm going to have strength by cowering in the corner and letting them abuse me every day and letting them talk shit to me? You know how many times a day that she reads something in the books that talks about how women are stupid and women are less intelligent and women are lusty, and Maya Devi is strong. Ooh, Maya Devi is strong. And the female form is the personification of Maya Devi. And women are the personification of Maya Devi. And Maya Devi will come, and you need to protect yourself with the holy name, because if you don't have the holy name and the tilak and the this and that and all that, Maya Devi going to get you. And then once Maya Devi gets you, you'll be blooped, and you'll be gone, and we'll never hear from you again, because Maya Devi will grab a hold of you. Maya Devi will get her hooks in you. Women got to hear this shit constantly. Constantly, and then they got to brainwash themselves into. She got to brainwash herself into thinking, well, I do have some power. My shyness and my submissiveness is somehow powerful when I'm chanting. Yeah. Keep thinking that. You keep thinking that. And Trivik Ram's going to keep thinking that as long as he keeps chanting, he's not going to want to have sex with his 35-year-old disciple. This is fucking bullshit, man. This is such friggin' bullshit. Ugh. Oh, I can't take it. She's trying to convince other women to just stick it out, bitch. Just stick it out. If you stick it out, it'll be to your advantage one day. Don't worry. You'll have some power somehow. I don't know how, but somehow you'll have power. Power to do what? All this shyness is giving you power. Power to do what? What are you empowered to do? The levels of delusion of these people is insane. It is friggin' insane. The moon. They want to trying to explain that the moon does this and that. The other guy was trying to explain that hey, I may have molested a kid here and there, but I can still come on YouTube and preach to you about, hey, I am the head of the Kumbh Mela. Oh, you're fucking insane. And then we got the black guy from South Africa going to sit there and preach about the sound vibration and the material, whatever the fuck he's talking about. He didn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Pretending to be a monk with this other guy who used to be a monk. Hey, I used to be a monk. So can I get credit for trying to be a monk, even though I failed at it? And now, I was like him, but no, I'm not no more. But, hey, but can you still respect me like I was like him? Because of the sound vibration and whatever the fuck he's saying. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. All these people, they're fucking insane. They can't explain a fucking thing. Nothing they said made sense to me. Not one of them. Not one word out of their mouth made sense except hi. That was it. Calcium supplement for abuse. Chant more. You're not chanting more. You need to chant more sincerely. You need more sincere chanting, more sincere rounds, You're not chanting sincerely enough. Fucking stupid. Scooter. They tried to influence me not to study more. Yeah, I went to India. I went to Vrindavan one year. It was like, I don't know, 2004 or 5. I think it was 2005. And I was there for a long time. And I was traveling around, and I was in Vrindavan, and I found like a bookstore or somebody that had a bunch of books, and I bought these books, and they're not Prabhupada's books. And I brought them home, and I had them on my bookshelf. And one day, Yashodanandan was at my place. We're having our whatever we're doing, and he's looking at all my books, because he got all my books, but I had a collection of books. I had everything, and little by little, and I was adding to it, because when I would find old original books, I was like collecting them. So I had like old original Bhagavatams, and and just a bunch of books. So one day he's looking at my books, and he's like, "Wow, you've got this, and you got this." And he's like, "Oh, you got this." And then he came to the section of books that were, unauthorized books or whatever from Vrindavan that I got. I don't even remember what they were. One was like some like Lord Shiva Stotram poem thing written by somebody, and then another one was some other similar books like that, and then I think there was a book by the Goswamis or something that I had that was not translated by Prabhupada. So I had like 6 or 7 books that were not authorized actually. And when you showed a psalm, he was like, "What is this?" And he kind of like he was going to chastise me, like, what is this stuff? And I said, "Oh yeah, I got those in Vrindavan." And he was like, "Oh, you did that? Those aren't authorized." And I said, "Yeah, that doesn't matter. It don't matter." And then he kind of looked at me like, and I said, "Yeah, those are mine. Those are mine." And that was it. He just gave me this weird look, like, "What are you, I don't answer to you. I don't answer to anyone. I can read what I want to read. What the fuck are you talking about?" Like I don't know. You did. It's a cult. That's it. It's a cult. Okay, it's a cult, and that's how cults act. And that was one of the symptoms of a cult. He was the head of sort of like the spiritual head of that chapter of the cult, and he was like, "Hey, what is it?" Don't be culty with me. Don't be culty with me. So I understand how they try to influence you, like what you're reading, where you're going, what you're doing, all of that. Like, people, they would give me shit because I had a job. They're like, "Oh, you have a you go to work every day with like karmis? You work with karmis? Like, you work with karmis? Not authorized. Not, my brain was not authorized. Do not put that in your brain. Yep. Yeah, like a couple of my friends were like, you work at American Express with karmis? You go to work? They eat meat there? Like, trying to like give me a hard time. Like, you work with meat eaters and they smoke cigarettes, they do this, and they, you work with those people? I was like, yeah, I get a paycheck. It's called a paycheck. It's called a paycheck. It's called a paycheck. That's what I do. Yeah, I go to work. I go to work every day. Yeah, I can do that. I'm strong enough. I don't eat hamburgers at work. I can go to work. I can go to work. Believe it or not, I can go to work and not have sex with my coworker, eat a hamburger, and buy a lottery ticket, and then drink beer afterwards. I can do that. Isn't that amazing? I can actually do that. Oh, wow, you can do all that? Yeah, and sometimes I chant a round or two at lunch. If I have an extra couple of minutes, I could chant a round or two. They can't deal with that. Oh, I couldn't work around a bunch of meat eating. Right? Yeah, because you're a fucking brainwashed cult member. You don't have to tell me that. I already know you can't get a job and work around karmis. I know that. I got that. You're a brainwashed cult member. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's exactly how it is. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you learned something from these preachers. Hey, if there's someone that you know out there that you want me to check out and comment on and do like a reaction video to, I'll be more than happy to. I'll do it. I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a great day, great night, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are. Please stay out of a cult. And once again, you can take a look at me being once upon a time when I was a Hare Krishna. Let's see.